You made a video that men need to be the adored. And I thought that was a fantastic video. Women need to be the adorer and men need to be the adored. But we live in a society where we adore the women and not the other way around. And I've talked about this ad nauseum on my pod as well, that women need to chase a man's validation and never the other way around. Can you talk about it from a psychological perspective? Because we kind of just touched on it now. Why men need to focus on being the adored and the women need to be the adorer?
Sure. So it's cool that you watched my episodes, Myron.
Of course, man.
That's awesome.
I got more questions on your stuff too. I did my research.
Cool. Well, you can learn more about this. I did an episode called The Balance of Attraction. Let me start there.
Yeah.
Which is basically like the axiom is no two people can like each other exactly the same amount. Like that is impossible, which means that in any relationship, one person likes the other person more and the other person likes the other person less.
Damn.
It's inevitable. Like sometimes that can change, that can go up and down. There are different gaps and things like that, but you can't ever be permanently equal. Mm-hmm. This person is the adorer, this person is the adored. There's actually pros and cons to both positions. One position isn't necessarily better than the other. And most people, not just women, most men and women want to be the adorer. People don't think that they do, but they want to be the adorer because the adorer gets to be with the one they love, and what better experience is that?
What emotion do you feel when you're going to approach someone you're very attracted to and there's an extremely high probability that she's going to tell you to disappear? Right, exactly, absolutely, because it's a real judgment, right? We're going to see a movie called Crumb where you'll see this in great detail. But it's a real judgment. It's like the best judgment is, well, I don't mind your physical presence, but your genes should definitely not survive another generation. Right, and that's sort of generally translated into, I think we should just be friends. Right, you know, and you can blow that off, and people do, and you have to because it's part of being polite and civilized, but you know, let's make no mistake about it. There is no more fundamental judgment than that. So, paralysis. And there's no shortage of men, I mean, who are absolutely terrified of women. I mean, I've had many of them in my practice, you know. I had one guy, he was so terrified of women he couldn't even talk to them on the phone. It's more common than you think. So, but it's generally manifested by men who no one cares about, so it's generally irrelevant. So, well, it's the case. It really is the case. I'm not kidding. They're low status men. You know, they're people that are generally regarded as losers, and there isn't anybody who really gives a damn about what happens to them one way or another. And there's a lot more men in that category than there are women.
No. I'll just tell you why. Personally,
you ask the men.
I have zero female friends. That does not mean I'm not polite to women. Doesn't mean I don't have female acquaintances. Right? Doesn't mean I can't meet all of you and say hello to you and see you on the street and say hello to you, etc. But the idea of having a female friend, someone I hang out with often, who is my friend and we're purely platonic, is garbage. It's garbage because as a man, I'm spending 99% of my energy finding a sexual partner. And any partner of mine who I'm also having sex with, my girlfriend, my wife, whoever it may be, she is my friend. There's no benefit from female friendship outside of the friendship I'm going to get from my partner. Truthfully, it can really be the same the other way around. If you have a man and you truly love him and he's your guy, you shouldn't really need other dudes. That's the truth. You shouldn't. But Myron said it perfectly. There is a massive amount of liability to me being friends with a chick. Let's say she's my friend, right? We've been friends. We talk spiritually. Right? For 10 years, I've been listening to her astrology bullshit in my ear, pretending I don't want.
Victory. I'm an Aries.
Yeah,
I'm a Gemini.
I'm a Sag.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, it's fire sign.
Guys, let him finish.
For 10 years, I'm listening to this bullshit, pretending I don't want to fuck. We're walking down the street. Some dude comes up, snatches her bag. What, now I have to risk my life to protect a bitch who doesn't even suck dick? Let me tell you, if you're my female friend, I'll be like, look, we're equal, we're friends, you better chase that motherfucker down.
You better go.
Oh, you want me to protect and provide? I'm your man now.
Lots of men have no sexual partners and they have no children. That's not the case with women. Almost all women have one child or more. And it's a rare woman indeed who cannot find a sexual partner. Some of you undoubtedly have already experienced what it's like to be possessed by a particularly stupid idea You know, so maybe you've grown out of one or two of the stupid ideas that possessed you, or maybe you're possessed by an attraction to someone you can't control, or you can't control your eating behavior, or you know, you're a pushover when it comes to interpersonal interactions because you're too agreeable, or you fly off the handle and fight, and you know, none of this is really under your control. And so all of those things that manifest themselves not only in your behaviors but in your perceptions themselves, you know, they tend to take on embodied form and use you as the vehicle for their activity. So, you know, when you're thinking about something like anger, for example, think about how it works, because it's quite peculiar. What must someone generally do? How must someone generally act if you're going to be angry at them? They have to be irritating, right? You know, they have to provoke you in some way. Well, the mere fact that you perceive what they're doing as irritating or provoking doesn't ensure that anyone else would have thought about it as irritating or provoking, or that that's what they meant, or that that's what's happening. And my point is, it's very important to think about these complexes of ideas as sub-personalities, because otherwise you really don't get what they're like.
And this happens to both men and women. But let's put it from the woman's perspective. A woman might chase after a guy who kind of doesn't really care about her, kind of treats her like an option, not really a priority.
Yeah.
And then she's eventually like, oh, I'm tired of this. I'm just going to go find some other guy.
Yep.
And so she finds some other guy who dotes on her completely.
Yeah.
Now the roles have switched.
Yeah.
She's the adored and he's the adorer.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a welcome change from what she was used to experiencing with the first guy, but ultimately she's going to get bored in that situation.
Yeah.
Because most people want that emotional experience, but women generally seek it more than men with respect to their relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's been said that you can make a woman feel anything except bored.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the value that they derive from relationships is the emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that high value guys, to the extent that they're successful with men, they can do two things. It's what they can do for women with respect to resources and lifestyle, and what they can do to women with respect to like the tingles and emotional experience.
Yeah.
And so best if you can do both at the same time.
Yeah. Then you're unstoppable.
Right?
But if I meet a girl, let's say I were to come up to you on the street and I were to talk to you, I would be talking to you with a pure intention. And my intention is pure. My intention is to try and take you on a date. I would say, you're absolutely beautiful. Really nice to meet you. I'd like to take you on a date. If you said, oh, I've got a man, da-da-da, I would say, okay, cool. You got a man. Nice to meet you. Goodbye. My intention is pure. It's not deceiving. 99% of these dudes who are your friends are deceiving with their intentions.
Facts.
And it's beta male bullshit. I'd rather accept a no off a chick and move on than sit there and go, well, if I pretend I'm her friend long enough and I jerk off over her Insta for long enough, I might pull it off when she's drunk. Because that's what they're fucking doing. It's coward beta male bullshit. It's for weak men who ain't got the balls to sit there. If you're dudes, whoever they are, they should sit with you and say, look, we need to fuck. And not in that, okay, let me rephrase that. I've known you a long time. You're such a sweet young lady. All these other men don't treat you right. Why don't we go on a date?
That sounds better.
That's
That's cute. That sounds better.
Right, okay, so that's why I rephrased it. That's what they should say to you. And if you say no, then they should be like, say, bounce. Because they shouldn't be there anymore. So what they're doing is they're not being pure with their intention, and that is an act of cowardice. And I think acts of cowardice are not something to be respected. I think a man should be completely honest about his intention. That doesn't make you a bad guy. You're not a bad man to go up to a girl and say, you're beautiful, I want you to be my woman. That doesn't make you bad. No. You're much worse to sit there and go, I don't want to be your woman at all. Let's talk about astrology. That's garbage.